Mr Speaker, a lot has been said in the last 3 years about the relationship between the EU referendum and immigration. The National Centre for Social Research found that people who want the government to prioritise cutting immigration overwhelmingly voted leave, and those who they describe as middle-class liberals nearly all voted to remain. And it may surprise nobody that in Bristol West, my constituency, hardcore Romania, I have never been asked to reduce immigration or to do less for refugees. And we are proud of the benefits of immigration and a diverse population that we celebrate in my constituency. But, Mr Speaker, having concerns about immigration or wanting it to be cut does not mean that someone is racist. Believing that someone is worth less than others and should have worse treatment because of their race and acting on those beliefs, that makes someone racist. Mixing up the two is unhelpful and insulting. I will not do it, but I also think that fear of that has held us back from talking honestly and properly about immigration. I want an immigration system which Remain and Leave voters can all believe in and trust, which operates rules efficiently and fairly, but honours our international obligations to refugees and respects human rights. The system the government is proposing in its long-awaited White Paper and immigration bill, in my view, does not achieve this. And as a result, I believe nobody is going to be satisfied. This government has failed to lead a national debate, or even a parliamentary one, about what we all want and need from an immigration system. We do not, as a consequence, have a way of talking about immigration, and we should. Mr Speaker, I want to talk about immigration. My father was a migrant from India, my mother from a working-class white family from the north. I've lived in parts of the country where absolutely no other brown people had ever lived, as well as very diverse places like the part of Bristol I now have the honour to represent. And Mr Speaker, we are all in a sense migrants. Some of us from families who've lived in the same place for generations, but we all got to where we are now from somewhere else once. And we all have the potential to be migrants from desire or necessity. In the 1980s, Tory ministers actually advocated a policy of economic migration when they said to unemployed people, get on your bike. In the last few years, many people, my husband included, have benefited from the opportunities of freedom of movement that's provided for living, working and studying in countries across the EU. Others have come here to work, filling gaps in our workforce, and they see the benefits of migration. And I want to see an improved response to refugees. Across the country, I believe a compassionate nation with a strong sense of justice agrees that people should be protected if they're fleeing war, persecution and torture. But I don't think I've ever come across anyone who thinks our current system of responding to refugees is working well right now. I'll discuss this in more detail when we have the second reading debate of the bill. And we have two urgent problems for our immigration policy. One, the state of our current system, and two, the rise of the far right. The largest category in my own caseload as an MP has always been immigration, and my experience is of a system in chaos which serves nobody well, wastes public money and treats people very badly. Passports and ID documents get lost, decisions take months, there are long waits for appeals, people are denied the right to be with their families on family occasions when a visit visa is refused, and the Home Office admits that severe staffing shortages have led to a sheer large backlog of rising numbers of claims. And we've had the Windrush scandal, in which people who've had the legal right to be here were treated appallingly. And this government proposes to put more people into the same system. I'd like to think this would be a levelling up, a system of high standards for all and fair rules properly applied, but I do not. I'm not surprised that constituents of mine from the EU 27 are worried that they will become the next Windrush scandal. I'm horrified at how many EU 20 citizens are now leaving the UK and leaving behind them staff shortages, and I'm angry at the uncertainty for British people in the EU 27. But I'm also sad for people who thought that voting leave would lead to a reformed, fair, reliable immigration system, which works in the interest of the whole country, because that does not look likely. And on the rise of the far right, I'm worried, we all should be worried, because when we fail to construct an immigration system everyone can believe in, the far right moves into that vacuum. And this country is already very divided, and I fear those divisions will get worse. So, next Tuesday, I will vote against the Prime Minister's deal. I will vote against her crashing us out with no deal. We then have to consider rapidly what other options we have, and almost certainly we will need to consult the people, and I believe that's best done through a general election. So, Mr Speaker, I want us to celebrate migration. We have the means to do it. Let us do that.